Okay, before I start today's Attractor Mode Plus and Xbox 360 guide, if you like what you see today, hit notifications, subscribe and like so you don't miss our upcoming retro emulation content here on my channel, just Jamie. That means you'll get notified of every setup guide that I release, plus it really helps out my channel too. So we're looking at Attractor Mode today, and this is specifically Attractor Mode Plus, which is a newer version, and this version is still maintained. We're going to be setting up Xenia Canary with this to get Xbox 360 games working. I'm going to do a fresh install of Attractor Mode Plus and show you everything from start to finish. Now, I've covered Attractor Mode in the past on my channel. I've got an entire playlist for different Attractor Mode setups, so check that out too. So anyways, what we're going to do first is actually download Attractor Mode Plus. I'm using Windows, so I'm going to download version 3.0.8, which is the latest version of Attractor Mode Plus as I record in this video. Just download that and that will download into a zip folder. We're also going to download a very cool theme, or layout as Attractor Mode refers to it as. This is Novato. Just go to download theme, and that's that one done. Next up, we're going to want the latest release of Canary Experimental. Again, I'm going to just download Xenia Canary, and that's going to download into a zip folder. And finally, we're going to want to go to the game's database and identify the correct name for Microsoft Xbox 360, as we can see, because we're going to need to enter this into Attractor Mode itself. So once we downloaded everything, we've got everything here. We've got Attractor Mode Plus, and we got some games, and we've got the theme itself, as well as Xenia Canary. So first of all, we need to extract Attractor Mode. So just right click on your desktop, new folder, and you can call this whatever you like. I'm going to just call it Attractor Mode for this guide. And if we open up Attractor Mode Plus, we're going to find all these goodies inside. If I just highlight all these in drag and drop or extract them into that Attractor Mode folder, and that's now copied, so I can delete that Attractor Mode archive just so we don't get confused. If we go inside Attractor Mode, this is our contents, and we got an emulators folder here. Now in the emulators folder, I'm going to right click, new folder, and call this folder Xenia. If I go into that Xenia folder, I've got my Xenia Canary emulator just here, and I'm going to drag and drop those inside. So once that's done, what I'm going to do again is just delete Xenia Canary zip so we don't get confused. And XeniaCanary.exe, let's just open that one up to bypass all this once we launch it through Attractor Mode. So more info, run anyway. And that's all good to go. Now, you'll notice with Xenia Canary, when you open up games, when you boot games with this emulator, they'll boot in window mode. What we need to do is actually edit a text document in order for this to boot in full screen once we're in Attractor Mode. We got a file just here, TOML file. If I right click on this one and go to open with Notepad, if I just expand this, we've got majority of settings are in here, and what I'm going to do is just scroll down to where it says display. We can see full screen underneath equals false. If I just backspace false and type in true, and I go to file and save, Xenia's then going to boot our games up in full screen mode rather than window mode. Next thing we're going to do, inside the Attractor Mode root directory, I'm going to create a new folder in here. So right click, new folder, and I'm going to call this folder ROMs. And inside of ROMs, I'm going to create another folder called 360, or you can call it Xbox 360. And it's in here, I'm going to drag my two ISO games. Now let me just remind you that Xenia Canary is experimental, so don't expect all your 360 collection to be working with it. Next up, we've also downloaded the Novato theme. So inside the Attractor Mode directory here, we got layouts. If I open up Novato zip, which I've just downloaded, just drag and drop inside of that layouts folder. Okay, so everything's now in place, and we can open up Attractor Mode Plus.exe. And first screen we can see here is which language do we want. Now I've got an Xbox controller through wireless, and this is working fine using my left analog stick. You can use cursor on your keyboard and press enter to select these options. If I press A, Auto detect emulators, no. First of all, we need to go to emulators and add emulator. And just here, we're going to type in Xenia. Executable, if I press enter or A on my Xbox controller just to open up this, I'm going to press Windows button on my keyboard. And from here, we're going to need to go to the attract mode directory. And it's asking us where the Xenia executable is. So we're going to go to emulators, Xenia. If I then right click on Xenia Canary.exe and left click on copy as path and go back to attract mode, Control and V is going to paste it. If I backspace the quotation marks on both ends of this location or the path, press enter, working directory, what we're going to need to do is press Windows key again and go back to the actual location of where the emulator is. Left click at the top, right click, copy, back to attract mode, Control and V, and enter. Next up, we're going to need to tell attract mode where our games are. So enter, backspace because this is the wrong path, and Windows key. And just here, we're then going to go back to the attract mode directory, and we're going to go to the ROMs folder we created, 360 directory. And again, left click at the search bar, copy, back to attract mode, Control and V. It's going to paste that into place. ROM extensions, our games are in .iso, so this is wrong. Press enter, delete zip, and replace it with ISO. Enter. System identifier. So just a minute ago, I showed you the website, the games database, and this is where we're going to reference this from, so it's pronounced or spelt correctly, Microsoft Xbox 360. So I'm going to type in Microsoft Xbox 360 info source scraper. If we go into this one, we're going to use the games database, which is going to scrape our games, hence why we just need to use the games database for system identifier. If we just scroll down, we're going to firstly go to generate collection ROM list, press enter, and scrape artwork. Okay, so we're then going to go down to back, and if I press escape to come out, here we go. So Project Gotham Racing doesn't have any artwork, that's just because it's got a dot at the end, but we could edit that out if we wanted to. This theme or layout is very boring. If we press tab, it'll bring us back here to the configure menu. If I press enter on displays, go to Xenia, down one to layout, and then just here we can use Novato, that theme we downloaded. Press enter, escape. Okay, so once we put Novato into place, if we come back to this menu, we can actually configure things. So we can go to layout options just here. We can put cap screen to screenshot if we wish. Scan lines on screen, we can put that to medium. Marquee, we can use marquee, emulator name, my own. Spin wheel artwork, we can choose either wheel or marquee. I'm going to just leave this one to marquee for now. Background art, we can select whatever we want just here, providing we got the artwork for that. And if we go to back, and here we go. So it's missing some artwork, but that's quite likely because of the way the names are spelled. If we open up the game then, so this one's going to be Apache. And as we can see, this is booting directly into full screen mode. Okay, as you can see, that's booted into full screen mode perfectly because we edited that text document And that's it for today's Attract Mode Plus and Xenia Xbox 360 emulator setup guide. So like I said in the video, I do have a playlist for Attract Mode, a little bit more detailed, but really this one should get you up and going. And if you should want to add more to it, just check my playlist, and I've done quite a fair few guides for Attract Mode at this point. Anyways, if you liked the video today, hit notifications, subscribe and like so you don't miss on upcoming retro emulation content. Also, join me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. But until next time, stay retro.